Hey guys and girls, my name is Alan and welcome to this gameplay commentary. So I've got another Uncharted 4 survival match for you to enjoy today, and this is the final stage.
I expect a full partnership.
The final map that I need is to get both my trophy and also to complete the 3-star challenge. Well, 3 stars and crushing on every single stage. So in the previous video I did the new Devon map with the same group of guys. Chance meeting with these guys, we helped each other out in the end, so that was really good, and I explained the story in that video. So if you're interested to hear the story and also see the gameplay obviously of me getting those 3 stars in New Devon, then check out the video. I'll link it in the description, I'll link it on the screen as well so you can check it out there. But this match is directly after that match. Basically we took a few minutes as a break and then we jumped onto this one, and this one we managed to get first time round, so we were super lucky in this game and pretty lucky in the previous one as well. So yeah, basically the loadout I'm using is slightly different to the one that I was using in New Devon, and it's good to switch them up between stages. You've got 10 slots, make use of those 10 slots. I only use maybe 5 on regular rotation, but I do have a class built in every single slot just for all eventualities, but I generally only use 5 because they are the most most useful to me. But as I said, you've got 10, so experiment with your classes, build different types, and just be prepared for every single stage. You don't have to use the same boosters every single time, and it's probably advisable not to use the same boosters every single time because some others will benefit you for different situations and definitely certain different bosses as well. So my class setup today is quick heal, level 2. Again, I talked about why I chose the middle one and not the first or second in the previous video, but basically 20% extra regen for 6 points I think is a decent trade-off. Deadeye 2 because on this particular stage there's a lot of hunkering down in either this side or the other side of the map and just picking off enemies, so headshots is good for extra damage, extra cash, but you can never go wrong with extra headshot damage, right? And then heavy weapon level 2. Again, I was expecting to use heavy weapons quite a lot against the boss in this particular match. Didn't quite transpire that way, but had it gone the other way around, well, I would have made use of that, so that's why I brought it along. And then one of the new boosters, Mystical Expert 2. So if you've not seen this one yet or experienced it for yourself, basically it works the same way as Heavy Weapons Expert in that you can buy cheaper mysticals from the chest, and you can also stock up to 3 of them in reserve instead of the 1 by default. So it's quite useful if you want to hoard them in between waves instead of having to use them up before you can buy another one from the chest, obviously, which means having to leave places like the siege area and stuff like that, which isn't always ideal. So that's quite useful. And then the final perk, well, booster, is Hardened, and I've got this at level 2, and as I said, because this stage involves a lot of hunkering down, a lot of basically sniping cross map, Hardened is good to have along with headshots, which is why I pretty much always have those on maps where we're going to camp for a little bit. And what I'm doing here is a little technique that I picked up in, I think it was Uncharted 3. I saw a player do it and I was like, that is a really good idea. So I started doing it, and to be honest, I haven't had a need to do it that much in Uncharted 4 because ammo and weapons are quite plentiful. But as you saw, I did start to run out of ammo in the previous round, so I thought I'd bring over another weapon. So that's something I learned from some random player in Uncharted 3 back in the day, and I've been doing it ever since, so it's quite cool. Was it Uncharted 2? I think it was Uncharted 3. Yeah, probably on the monastery map or something. No, wait. I don't know. No, wait. I don't know, maybe it was Uncharted 2 then. I don't know, I learned it from somewhere. But I learned it from someone, rather. It's not my own invention, that one. The Gal one, the Pack 80 one, that one I did by myself, but this one I learned from someone else. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of the Gal / Pack 80, not the Pack 80, the the DSK in this game, then check out the previous video. I did tell the story of why I started doing that and what the technique is. Right, so as I said, the first couple of waves, kind of boring. You just stay in one place and you snipe enemies across this hallway. Now, some people choose to snipe from the other side. We've chosen to snipe from this side. When I first started playing this stage, I always snipe from the other side, and the more I play, the more I think it's better to snipe from this side because it's just a lot easier without a lot. There's not a lot of like stuff in between. Like there's just one flat level playing field here. Whereas on the other side, you've got like the sandbags, you've got the crates in the way, and then you've got that little dip as well before enemies can get to you. So if they manage to breach, for example, they can hide behind those boxes. They can sort of flank on the other route as well because you've got that little climb up section. whereas if you snipe from this side, enemies generally just funnel through that one doorway. Sometimes they'll climb up on the side, but it's still a lot easier to deal with it from this side because it's completely flat, and there's pretty much like a 5-meter no man's land in between where they can rush you in that hallway, and they generally don't rush you that often from that distance, from what I can tell. So I prefer to snipe from this side. I think it's better to snipe from this side as well. As you can see, bit of a shaky start, 6 KOs to go, and somehow me and Darksider, we get down. Unfortunate, but we deal with the situation okay. But yeah, as you can tell, we're a bit fatigued probably from New Devon. I don't know, but it should have gone a bit smoother. I mean, we had the area locked down. I don't know how the enemies managed to breach. And we got lucky at this stage as well, because if this had been a restart, I think we probably would have had to give up on the match and do it again. With New Devon, with Pirate Colony, you're on such a tight time frame that you can't really afford any mistakes. Yes, it's possible to have a few mess ups. I mean, we had a few mess ups here, and we managed to complete it, but we did get lucky with the boss, as we did in New Devon as well. But yeah, ideally you want to do it flawless first time. If you have to restart, then it's going to be really, really hard for you to meet the time limit, and you might as well just give up and just start again from the beginning. I think that was the enemy that I naded. Somehow he had like half his health life, which is ridiculous. But I managed to kill him off in the end. And so we move on to the next wave. And as you notice, just like New Devon, I've cut out the middle bits in between waves just because it's, you know, I'm not doing anything in between those waves. So I save a bit of time and just move on to the next wave straight away. Just like New Devon, and as I said, all the other 3-star crushing stages, I will post it all unedited, completely natural. So if you want to watch those without me talking over them, there'll be no commentary with those, just straight gameplay, start to finish, the entire thing, no cuts, no edits, no nothing. I don't know when I'm going to be posting it, but it's going to go up soon. And also, I didn't mention in my previous video, but I actually did do New Devon solo crushing. That's how desperate I got to get the 3 stars. I saw a video on YouTube of someone doing it, and I thought I'd give it a go. It's a lot harder than it looks. I mean, I'm no stranger to clutching out waves and that sort of thing, but yeah, New Devon was a whole other type of game for me, and I managed to get it done, but it wasn't a very good time. And I probably will upload that as well, just for, you know, just for keepsake on my playlist channel. But I did do it solo. That was my first ever crushing completion of New Devon. I did it solo. I couldn't do it with pubs. I did it solo first time. That's how I managed to get it done. And if you don't believe me, check out the video. And I think at the end it says I unlock hardcore mode, so that's how I can prove that that was my first ever time getting it done, and it was solo. So yeah, so that's how desperate it got, to the point where I attempted to do it solo, but it didn't work out. I probably could have done it. I don't know. I feel like it's possible, but you just have to get really lucky with enemy spawns and taking out the boss quickly and stuff like that. And it's a lot of effort. And I think, I don't know, the video that I watched, I don't know whether that was done recently or, you know, like towards the start. They didn't use any Indras or anything, so it wasn't that early in the game. But yeah, I don't know, maybe they had more powerful weapons or something. I don't know, I can't remember. I just happened to see it on YouTube. I thought I'd give it a go. Didn't work out too well, so I gave up on it and came back, and I met these guys, and it all worked out in the end. But many months after, I would have preferred to have got it done. Okay, so this siege is probably the trickiest wave on this particular stage. If you mess this one up, you've wasted a lot of time, and you're pretty much guaranteed to have to restart the entire match, because there's no way to do this siege stage again and not waste a good few minutes, which is a few minutes you can't afford to waste. So a good technique is to split it up. So you want one player on the boat where I was, and then maybe one in the crow's nest, and then possibly one on the far side. I kind of prefer to have 3 players not that far apart from each other, but if you can each hold your own, then that's a good setup. So one left, one middle, one right, and as long as you've all got Eldorados, or at least one person's got an Eldorado, just in case it goes tits up, because just like the siege in New Devon, it's okay for like the first half, but then in the middle there's always this one big surge. I think they're like programmed to rush you or something. Always happens, right? So if you've got an Eldorado, just in case, you can push them back or deal with them as necessary. So that's my tip. But I mean, you've probably seen players do that, and you might already do that yourself. And as you can see, we're now back at the start, I guess. We're in this room again, sniping enemies as they come towards us from the far side. So even though it's the assassination wave, plays out pretty much exactly the same as the first and the second wave. Enemies will eventually funnel through to you, including the targets. Sometimes they'll hang back a bit, so you might need to force the hand, but apart from that, it's pretty much exactly the same as waves 1 and 2, just tougher enemies. A lot of them armoured. I don't think there's any non-armoured targets at all in this wave. They do drop heavy weapons, as you can see, so if you can grab those, it will help you out, but it's not necessary. I mean, you can still snipe or use normal weapons just fine. I've got hardened and headshot damage, which is for exactly this reason. You kind of want to deal with them as quick as possible. You're not on a time limit, but you have to think about that. The longer that these waves take, the less time you've got to deal with the boss at the end, and you kind of want to get these waves done, these inverted commas easy waves, out of the way as fast as possible to give you as much time to work towards the end game, which is of course dealing with the boss and also the siege section as well. I mean, that can go a bit smooth if you get lucky with dealing with enemies as they rush you. As I said, there's always that surge in the middle. We kind of got caught out a little bit, but I've seen that wave go a lot smoother. I mean, I've done it with pubs several times, and sometimes it can go quite smoothly. But as I said, it all depends on the situation at the time. So yeah, once this wave's done, then we'll move on to the boss wave. And again, Darksider, he gave me some pointers, and the first part of the plan I already kind of knew because I've been watching YouTube videos, and we were doing the boat trick. That's basically what it led up to. And so if you don't know about the boat trick, basically as soon as the wave starts, everyone jumps into the water. Well, I thought everyone jumps into the water, but Darksider told me a different plan. But let's just give you my plan first. So the way that I've seen it happen is you jump into the water and you stick to the right, and you sort of hug the boat as close as possible so that enemies can't get a line of sight on you. And then you just take pot shots at the boss. Because his head's sticking out basically. And then when he throws an Eldorado, because you're all on the right, you then swim to the left and you avoid the Eldorado, and it conveniently enough doesn't manage to reach you if you swim to the far left. So if you stick to the right as much as possible, and then you swim left as soon as he throws out an Eldorado. The problem is you can only do this up until like the halfway point, because once his health drops below 50%, he starts throwing out triple Eldorados, and it's very, very, very hard to dodge those and to keep putting shots on him. At least not in a decent amount of time. I mean, you could do it, but you're not going to meet the time limit by doing it that way if you keep dodging his Eldorados, because he literally just spams them consistently. And then he also throws out like the not the Eldorados, but he shoots them out of his hand basically. So between that and the triple Eldorados, there's no way you're going to put enough damage on him before the clock runs out. So Darksider, his plan was to do the same at the start, except one person hangs off the back of the boat and they put pressure on that way. And then eventually, when you reach the halfway point, the reason why I'm bringing along the Mystical Expert booster is because he recommended stocking up on Indras and just throwing them everywhere. Now, I've never seen that plan in action before, so I was just going along what he was saying. I mean, I guess, you know, it's a good a plan as any. But basically, the plan was to just throw them everywhere. So eventually, when he... Because bosses immediately teleport as soon as you throw down a Mystical in this, well, ever since patch 1 point whatever, which has made the game ridiculously hard. So yeah, eventually he would have just spawned into an Indra and we would have just taken shots that way. I mean, I guess he would just consistently teleport, but as he's doing it in the Indra, it's going to be, you know, we get a few seconds of shooting time. So as you can see, this is basically the first part of the plan. So we're both in the water. I think Sir Darksider's hanging off the back of the boat, and he's just thrown down the Eldorado, so we've had to swim to the left to avoid it. However, Sir Darksider gets caught and he gets dropped. So Sebzu is going off to revive him now. Well, to get him from the chest. But not a great start to the plan. But basically, this is what you're meant to be doing. So you hunker in the water and you just take shots. And it's a very slow, tedious process, as you can see. If the boss doesn't stick his head out, or if he keeps throwing down Eldorados, I was super lucky there. I could have died just after Sebzu bought the or revive. That could have caught me out. So yeah, it's very slow, it's very tedious, and you have to get lucky basically. But there is another tactic which we were hoping would happen, and as you can see, it's just happened there. And I've seen this in a couple of YouTube videos, and it was present before this patch came out. And again, it's something that Naughty Dog, I don't know, they could patch it out, I suppose, or maybe they've chosen not to. But I get the impression they've probably made it more common just to help players get this done. I don't know, I mean, obviously I'm just speculating here, but the new Devon boss glitch that happened a couple of times, a lot more frequent in those attempts that we did, compared to all the previous attempts I've tried with pubs. And then this one happened first time, and so I don't know. I mean, let me know if you've experienced it more recently, more commonly. But I don't know, I just feel like maybe Naughty Dog's throwing us a bone here and just not mentioning it, but it seems as though, I don't know, or maybe we just got really lucky, I don't know. The only problem with this glitch is for this particular stage is that only one person will get accredited with those 3 stars, so the other 2 will get mission failed, but one person, me, the lucky person, got 3 stars, but I was the one who needed it, the other 2 didn't need it anyway, so that's fine. The person who gets it is the host. Unfortunately, you can't determine who's the host in a game. The matchmaking just gives it to someone in the lobby. Not sure what the parameters are, but the way to ensure that you get it if you're trying for it is to get to this stage, 2 players drop out, it'll migrate to you if you need it obviously, and then they'll jump back in again, and then you just follow the plan from there. I was quite happy to get it done first time round. It's been many months in the making. I've tried this, as I said, with pubs several times and I just couldn't get it done. So I don't know what's changed, but I met these guys, we got lucky, I got really lucky and managed to get it done first time round. Alright, so just before I round this video off, again I just want to say thank you to Sir Darksider and Sebzu for helping me out with this. As per usual, if you enjoyed the content, consider tapping that like button, I really do appreciate it. And if you've got any thoughts you'd like to share with me regarding any of the stuff I've talked about today or anything you've seen in the game, then let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, take care, and I will see you later.